Heightdata injection enabled simplified terrain system tested with random data. Wait a minute. The cascade of detail addition has just started, and we have a random generated terrain according to a specific scheme. Some parameters allow to control, so to say, the, let's say, so how tortuous tendentially the terrain is, how, let's say, I don't know the English word, how stressed the shape of the hills, mountains tend to be. And well, this should be adjusted according to the specific application. When this software, this algorithm behind it, the Heightdata injection enabled simplified terrain system algorithm is used in the context of a terrain modeling or analyzing and so on software. Well, in that case, these parameters don't play any big role, except the case in which some random data is inserted. So the possibilities are big, are cool, and of course it works well even without any external file. The color here depends on the height, and this is advisable. No support for texturing except repeating everywhere a back texture to make the surface, when it's looked at from class, a bit more natural, more, let's say, yeah, more natural. And of course, oh sorry, very fine. Of course, some words on how the view-dependent adjustment of the level of detail works in the context of this algorithm when random data are used to produce something to render. The principle is the same. When when we have a certain shot and there is some detail, okay, let's assume that there is no more detail added, okay. When we get further, only those details are removed which aren't visible anymore from the given viewpoint with the given perspective constant and according to the resolution of the image. And when we get closer, yeah, detail is added. It all, to explain it, it's almost simpler to see it and explain it. In each instant, the algorithm takes all blocks and puts on creates some random height values and tests if there had been a level down operation with those random data, it would or would not be visible. And yeah, if it is, the level down operation on the block, the subdivision of it into 4 smaller blocks is done, otherwise not. Because of this, of course, there is some flickering. Even if the camera doesn't move, it goes on trying to do this check with the random numbers. So should be implemented that when the camera actually doesn't change its viewpoint and position at all, then it should stop doing this trial and so on. But these are minor data. There is a basic flickering on back of try to add, see how it looks, do it, don't do it, and so on. But well, this consumes some computational resources, but it's part of the algorithm. It's a feature of it. There are, of course, situations, according to what I said about the simplified Turing system algorithm. When I came up with that yeah, since at the base of this there is the simplified Turing system algorithm, the matter is that in some cases the apparel of detail tends to be lazy. Other times it's, so to say, harder to remove it. And so sometimes the detail addition happens often through some sort of cascade of detail addition. And this is, yeah, it produces some funny graphical glitches, but that's it. One can see this as a positive fact or as a negative fact. There can be some easy strategies to compensate for this, and any of them could be based on my 6th theorem on polygonal surface approximation, which says when we have a hang-up situation like here, how to ideally come out from it with a deterministic result. That by which I mean that if I want at all cost detail there, and there is a sort of hang-up, because at the current configuration detail cannot be added there, it could in a couple of steps come to allow to add detail there and add it. So okay, this is funny. As I said, sorry, the sun here should be put further because I enlarged terrain and the sun was too close, but this is just a funny feature, the sun. And well, what I wanted to say, of course, the nice thing about this rendering system is not as much random injection, not as much the injection of random data, of course, but the fact that this thing in which my 2nd, 4th, 5th theorems are used, and the theory is enforced by theorem 6, and yeah, there is a zeroth theorem, because the theory on level down, level up on the block set, these operations are, I thought, to cast them into a zeroth theorem, because there are some facts which actually are pretty important. Is that the good thing is, so together this algorithm which encloses these theorems forms theoretical framework for a complete theoretical framework to approximate polygonally, analyze and render with a dynamic level of detail polygonally approximated surfaces, and the theoretical weight, the theoretical importance and meaning of this in the context of polygonal surface approximation is around that of the Laplace transform in the theory and use of differential equations. And it gives a whole way to think about this subject. In this case, the subject is polygonal surface approximation. And the fact is not only the use, practical use, but the way that it gives a solid way of thinking about it through exact concepts which grasp the nature of the things in that context, and that's good. I had been working hard for around 2 years to devise this, and now it's done finally, and I wish to those who want to use it a lot of fun with it. I'm still working on the documentation, so okay, have lots of fun. I will do some better video showing how those couple of parameters can be adjusted to make the tangential shapes, the tangential contour of the hills and so on in the random data, and so on. Of course, one can put vehicles on it, particularly good for flight simulators, where of course it's not important that we fly on a territory sampled from real data, but the importance is that we have a believable, naturally looking environment, and that we can fly the plane, we can learn how to land, how to get off, and how to take off, and how to navigate, how to do an explorative flight going